Hey, you. Good day, or good afternoon, or good morning. It's 4 a.m. in London. I've titled this little go live because what did I title it? The ripple effect. The ripple effect of the Globe Light Tour. Where are we going? What did I learn? And yeah, where's it going? I'll warm up. Sorry, it's a bit of a slow start. I'm just thinking about my fuel. I'll make it home, but it's tight. Maybe I'll show you my fuel at some point. Yeah, so I've set up this with Kat Shaw, with Cosmic Cat and Andrea. I have set up this. We have set up this series of short talks to be presented at the Vanbrugh pub in Greenwich on the last Thursday of every month. That's the plan. And it's an exciting departure from it just being about flat Earth and more about you and us as individuals and us as a man and woman. I know someone's popped in to say hi and chat, and I'll have to be ignoring all of that, so have fun in there. That we can talk more about health, about well-being, the spirit, the soul, the body, the mind. Hoping to get somebody to come and speak on this first one on the mind, and perhaps on the divine feminine, divine masculine balance. That would be cool. But we're gonna kind of keep it short, 10-15 minutes, I guess, something like that, of presentational time, and then maybe a bit of Q&A, very informal. I've been asked to do one on distilled water, actually, as a starter. And then, well, we'll grow it from there. We'll obviously be wanting to introduce a wider audience, or a bigger audience, to flat Earth related concepts, electromagnetic universe, things like that. Talk about the electromagnetic universe before talking about that the plane is flat, and you've got people's attention. What? Anyway, I won't belabor that. That's cool. That's very, very cool. And that's the 29th of this month, November, at the Vanbrugh pub, from 7 o'clock. So from 7 to 9, and then after that people will be, before that probably, but around that time people can then just get on and chat with each other, and it'd be a bit of a social event, more of a social event. I expect it to be much less than 2 hours of, more like an hour or even less of actual, half an hour of talking and listening. Anyway, I'm going to go over the river. Let's say hello to Mother Thames. bit dark, I guess. Oh, and there's my fuel. Running a little low there, but we'll be fine. So there's other things that I've been talking about with Andrea for some time. And actually a friend sent me something last night that sparked off another conversation and that I've just had with Andrea about 10 minutes ago. Oh, hello again. And the conversation is to do with doing retreats. You know, doing like retreats where people can come and hear new information. It's tricky because, you know, there are a lot of people who know a lot of stuff, but I saw when I was at Birmingham that there are also a lot of people who need to learn a lot of stuff, me included. But you know, there are subject matter experts that I would be seeking to bring on board. Anyway, the point of this is, I suppose, we are seeking to manifest for ourselves a you know, a place to do that. You know, initially it would probably be like a space that you used temporarily, you know, like just hired it for the week of the thing. But, you know, longer term, we want to raise our boy Alexander on a small holding and use that small holding for growing souls, farming souls, helping souls to become more so. Yeah, that's something else that's on the offer, in the offing, as far as I'm concerned. And I am going to see Kimmy and Bob, some very interesting folks, later today, and, you know, listen to their ideas. They got some fantastic ideas on I think providing like a portal, providing a tool for people to more easily navigate certain aspects of the journey as people come through that first sort of awakening, that first period of realization that things aren't as they thought. You know, a lot of energy and time can be saved for people coming through that. And you know, I think there's got to be people need time, it's fair to say, to let these things permeate. And I think I'm still permeating 3.5 years in. But it's also true to say that, you know, 3 years ago I started telling people because I knew enough to you know, that I wasn't gonna. Well, I knew enough to be confident enough that I had to talk about it or, you know, tell people about it. But I only told those people like nearest me, and many of them have still not even begun to look. They've not even begun to look at, you know, it as a possibility, flat Earth. So, not everybody's for seeing it. Now, at this time, I guess. So, I'm not laissez-faire, but the same on this now. But I am resigned to or reconciled with the idea that Some people aren't going to get it. Some people may get it, but stay in the kind of the matrix and stay in the left and right, angry, passive, you know, because anger and passivity, by the way, are options that the system, I think, want you to accept as what you should take and what you should take. Well, I hope that doesn't sound confusing, but I think that what I'm saying is that we should be balanced between the anger and the passive. And you know, those New Agers who will sit in an ashram and cross-legged and just vibrate their way to a higher universe and so on, they're going to do very little for the collective like that. And those that are going to be all angry and beating their chest at the system, at the gates of Parliament and so on, you know, it'll have the expected outcome too. So this is about righteous indignation, I suppose. This is about divine right to have a proper position and a proper elevation of, you know, our situation, you know, the creation, this creation. But it may be also true to say that we can only achieve that if we achieve balance. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. I think it's about finding that balance, and in temperance in self. I'm saying these words, yes, it's me saying these words. Dave Mannel is talking about temperance. Not a thing that I have necessarily practiced all of my days. But, you know, they talk about it in all the biblical texts, and, you know, actually, to be fair and to credit the Muslim guys, in the main, Muslims get temperance quite well, you know. I think they overdo it in some cases. They definitely overdo it in some cases, but they understand temperance better than us. Well, me as a historic Christian, we've been jollying it up with the rum for many a century, you know. But that's how the Vatican and the Empire has greased its way. When when I was in the police charge office last month, and they still had the handcuffs on me, and I was barracking these boys, you know, and this duty sergeant steps up, says, "Oi, you, pipe down, we ain't interested in hearing what you got to say." So I'm like, "What? Who the fuck are you? Do you think that I give a shit about those little silver stripes on your arm, mate? You guys are the drug dealers, yeah, and you run this operation on..." Oh, fuck me, there's one of them right there. "You run this operation on alcohol, which is the drug of choice for your organization." Fuckers. So, I am talking about temperance and losing my rag because I'm confronted with the goons, the thugs, and, you know, barricaded my wife and my son in a bedroom for 2 hours, and my niece, and wouldn't allow me to drink distilled water, only tap water. you know, and wouldn't allow my niece to go to the loo without an escort. Because I had the temerity, the courage to stand up and say, I'm going to grow my own plants, my own medicine. I told them when they were interviewing me, the two lead dudes that were interviewing me, I said, you are the criminals here because you have stolen my plant, and now I have to go and deal with drug dealers in the street to go and buy my medicine. You are the criminals. They stole from me, and they did so with a form of violence, because when I tried to stop them from entering my home, I told them I didn't stand under their authority, I didn't respect them, and a piece of paper from the court, I didn't respect any of that. I told them that, but they forced their way past me, and because I was mildly trying to prevent them from coming into my house, I had to be arrested, handcuffed, and my whole kind of credibility in my neighborhood is, you know, shaky, because I could be any kind of criminal, you know. After people don't really know what that's all about, they just see the van and the man in cuffs. And if I'm entitled to be a little bit angry about that, I'm entitled to also be angry about the other thing I was talking about yesterday, which is that, you know, we go to war and we are propagandized, all of us. Let not a man among you say that you have not been propagandized. How dare you be so foolish? How dare you be so foolish? We have all, to a man, no matter how rich, no matter how poor, been propagandized. Though some of those have been propagandized and end up, you know, on these secret societies doing greasy things in greasy situations. And I don't really want to go down that dark road right now, but every one of us has been propagandized to the point that we do things and we have done things, or we think things and we believe in things that make absolutely no sense. And we go to war. And we end up killing our brothers and sisters. We end up all the business of war and all the expenditure of war and all the unnecessary heartache and all of that and the control that comes from it, etc., etc., etc. I could go on. But the point is, I'm allowed to be angry at that. However, despite that anger and despite that potentiality for the rage and the releasing of the dogs of war, because, you know, I know about releasing the dogs of war. There's very few men living today that have seen the kind of war that I've seen. And that's just not a boast, that's just a matter of fact. I didn't choose it. I wouldn't have gone to the army. I had to go to the army. But by the time I was 19 and 2 years into or a year and a half into my army, I'd been so well indoctrinated that there was a job to be done and I was willing to do it. And that's what the police are doing today. There's a job to be done and they're willing to do it, you know. And you know what? Like me, most police, most soldiers, they want peace in the world. That's what they want. They want there to be a crime-free world and a world where people aren't breaking the laws and so on. But we're creating too many laws, and so it's too easy to fall foul of that. Like we're way worse now than the SS of the 1930s. You know, there's much more control of the system. And the boys at war in Afghanistan or Iraq or in whatever, you know, the last 10, 15 years of madness in the Middle East and others. This has been propagandized into their minds. But these are boys who would want to have peace in the world. We don't want to have Osama bin Laden's. Or is it Obama bin Laden? I'm sure they did that wordplay to us on purpose. But it's not about those guys, right? Those boys and girls, they truly just want a peaceful life. That's what they want. They want a peaceful life. They want to, pay the bills, get along, and what have you. That's what they want. That's what most people want. The guy who works for the water company that's poisoning you, he doesn't kind of know that. Most people just want a peaceful life. And that's actually what I want. I want a peaceful life. I want a life of where loving my son, for example, where I can love my son, where I can spend time with my son and not feel like I'm under threat from the state that they might take me away. I mean, the day I spend in the cell away from where I was like, I'm not with my boy, and I can't be with my boy right now, and they determine whether or not I can be with my boy. No, I don't want that kind of a life either, So when you think about how you take the anger and the rage agenda and you end up being divided from your own family, you think about the I just realized there was people in my chat room chatting, and that's cool. It just threw me a little bit from my thought stream, because I kind of got the feeling like I was on my own. And then I realized there's a few people chatting, and that's cool. It's really cool. And let me get back on track. But I just want to say hello, and I notice you there. So I'm talking about that it is understandable that people are angry, because the shit that has been brought down upon humanity is despicable. It's absolutely despicable what has been done to humanity, and I can't think that there's any excuse for that. So to be outraged by that, I'm just giving you some examples in my life, what I was talking about yesterday with the Remembrance Sunday and Veterans Day and all that, business. And what is in my family's minds quite now at the moment. My 19-year-old daughter was in a little bit of tears yesterday about, what it meant to her and how it has felt to her to have daddy banged up in prison and not know what the fuck is going to happen to her dad simply because he was growing some plants. I mean, she's had her own journey of coming to terms with what cannabis is and so on. The university students are pushed alcohol all day long. Get drunk as you like. But they're also sort of propagandized about cannabis and so on. My daughter got fined 50 quid by the university because her and her pals were smoking a bit of weed in a bedroom a few months ago. Would you believe that? The university fined her £50 when the state stole my 5 cannabis plants. They didn't fine me. They didn't even, aside from me stopping them from coming in my house, trying to stop them from coming in my house, they had nothing on me. And they had to let me go on that. And so I'm entitled to be outraged at these things, and and in terms of how the world is treating people, and how this hardship here and hardship there. Gosh, if you pay attention to the news, you would feel suicidal, because it's like, shit, people are ripping each other apart, and it's getting worse and worse. So yes, you're entitled to be outraged. But you're also right to seek that, in your heart is the desire for love. And that love, like the love I have for my baby boy, is the love that we should all have for each other. In truth, because, we are one creation and one love. But I don't know that we're meant to be like ashramming it out, and just kind of sitting quietly in the forest, meditating. But that's important. Don't get me wrong. I'm not suggesting we shouldn't be doing those things. I just can't see how doing nothing other than going within and seeking just your own sort of divinity and your own inner quiet and comfort and happiness and whatever. You might just as well be, selling insurance and, or medicines and, be a drug dealer for the state, and have 3 holidays a year and change your car every second year and all that sort of shit. Because you're doing fuck all for the collective, or for the whole. That sounded a little bit judgmental, and that's not right. That's not right. It shouldn't be that. It's more like I'm saying you should be thinking, or I should be thinking in terms of, if I am healthy, for example, if I am knowledgeable about a thing, then it should be right to share that, so that knowledge is passed around rather than just stays with me in the forest. So I think that kind of lost my track on that. I lost my thread along the way of that. So I apologize. I'll come back to this. I'm sure I'll come back to this more, because it's to do with getting off the sofa, really, or getting out of the basement, but doing it in a way it's constructive. And see, is the anger directed at the system? And is my desire for the system to be better and it be beautiful, is that directed at the system too? And is that the problem? Or is that the misdirection? Because if you are focused on the system, either good system improving, get better politicians, get, change the law for gays, or smokes, cannabis, or women, or whatever the hot button topic is in your neighborhood. No, I don't think so. The system is not going away. It doesn't have any intention of going away. I think the system is here. In a way, it's here to stay until people realize they don't need it at all. Not in the way that it is. If I need to repeat myself on this, that one understands the need for there to be, in this way we live, there needs to be some management of roadways and other amenities. It does, but we know that it could be done from a way where it wasn't it wasn't in this sort of, well, the whole system of capitalism and self-greed and so on. How does that go away unless people realize, unless people are wholesale? I'm just driving through London, as you know. I should keep moving. I think I took a wrong turn, so I was sort of, where am I meant to be turning? And I'm trying to think about, talking some deep stuff with you folks. So, but how many people are there? And I'm just driving past hundreds and hundreds of sleeping folks. What is it now? 4:30 in the morning. And thousands of sleeping folks, and the majority of them, 99 or 97% of them, are going to wake up Monday morning, and look forward to a little bit of breakfast TV. Okay, maybe it's not such a high percentage we have breakfast TV, but the most of us are all plugged in one way or another into system themes, system memes, and so on, and we will want to continue that, for the foreseeable future. The idea that someone can come along and say, hey, it's all fake and you don't need government. That's not how it works, because it has to be that organic inner growth that occurs to realize, wow, Gypsy Road. Damn, I lived on this road. Andrea and I lived on this road 20 years ago. We lived at the Paxton pub over here. Damn, check it out. We lived at this pub up here. That's having some renovations. It was so disgusting in there. Andrea wouldn't use the kitchen. In fact, one time I carried her into the kitchen too, so her feet didn't have to touch the floor. Yeah, how about that? I'm near Crystal Palace. Yeah. So the inner work is really where it has to be at, my brothers and sisters. Like, I am not suggesting for a second that we shouldn't be doing things in the world, whether that be, going along with the system insofar as maintaining, your income stream, your job, and things like that. Although, one would hope that if you were a teacher, you would be trying to do it in a more conscious way. Although I suspect a little bit like Andrea, it would eventually become unbearable to have to be in the staff room listening to people talk about the shit that people seem to be interested in, rather than the far more significant, deep, soul, spiritual, divine kind of conversation, I'd hope, about much more than flat Earth, but really more about our true wellness. And actually, I say this, I'll need to kind of, the talks that I want to do at the Vanbrugh are going to be hopefully centered on or delivered by speakers who are, hang on a second, got a bit of a tight one here. Speakers who are on the level, that are motionless, stationary, dwelling on a plane of existence centered upon them. Because I think that if you're a subject matter expert and you've really had the chance to recalibrate your knowledge on a planar reality, or a toroidal electromagnetic reality, then you are much deeper, richer as a knower of your topic, in my opinion, than the person who's doing it from the confines of a dripping water ball floating in vast dark space as a consequence of some Catholic invented large bang. So that was that on that. I think it's about, really, I was so angry. I was angry about the flat Earth thing. I was angry about 9/11. Phew, that was like a mind blower for me. But then, then flat Earth, but now I'm really through a lot of that, I think, and I don't deny people that journey, that trajectory to move through the stages of grieving and chest beating or whatever, but I'd like to welcome people on the other side of that and go, okay, well, you know, you can move through that as quickly as you like. I think you can move through that as quickly as you like. I'm on 10% battery, so I may not get home. I mean, I may not, it may force me to end sooner than, you know, you can, where was I? Work through that as quickly as you like, and then, you know, get to this other point where what you're doing is you yourself are alive, vibrating, you know, high, and absolutely giving it for your own life, and then to others in the same way, because it is through you becoming higher and then others becoming higher, being, you know, higher light, higher vibrating, higher thinking, you know, higher living. What is it? We'll come back to the word temperance. Shit, I lost my thread in my anger a moment ago. But temperance is it, you know, it's about seeking kind of a balance in our divinity, in our masculine roles. And I just want to kind of end, and I guess on this, and to say that, you know, my wife Andrea is helping me a lot, you know, with her bringing her strengths to the table. And the reason that part of the reason that she's able to do that is because I've given her the space and the time and the opportunity to discover herself. I haven't been perfect at it. I'm not trying to, you know, blow too much smoke on my own, but I think that I'm suggesting to you that to enable the other around you is often the way of enabling yourself. Do you see what I'm saying? So if I teach my son to fish, then perhaps I'll be sitting on the side of the riverbed, you know, bank soon enough, and my son's, you know, pulling in enough fish for us both, you know. And in the same way, Andrea is raising her game and giving me information and helping me to think things through in a way that she wouldn't have been able to do had I not found the way to give her some space, a place to do that growing. So what she and I want to do is to be able to offer that to other people, is to offer people a way to find that space and that grace to discover themselves, and what, you know, to really to know themselves, and to go within and learn what needs to be learned about themselves, and then in turn, you know, share that light around. So that's kind of exciting, you know, because we have felt it, and it's, you know, been our experience, you know, of actually just getting to that place where you want temperance, you know, you want the balance and so on, and that, you know, life is much more rewarding and makes far more sense from this perspective than it ever did, you know. And you know, I mean, I'm 50, so it's taken me a long time, and offered drugs before by the state licensed drug dealers. The doctor prescribed me antidepressants, and I went to the local drug dispenser, and he happily gave me a few boxes of this stuff, which I tried for about 3 weeks or maybe 6 weeks. I can't really remember now. And but the drugs were hectic. I didn't really like the way they made me feel. The point is that I've been through bouts of depression and, you know, difficult mental times and so on. So I've been, you know, I've had that, and I know about that, and therefore where I'm coming from is with that knowledge, with that insight, you know. Damn, that was a close call. So look, I'm going to call it short there, or not call it short. That's been a long old, and I do apologize for getting a little bit of meandering there. But I hope you get the point that actually it's about achieving balance. You know, the anger needs to be channeled, and the passive sit on the magical carpet and all legs crossed and leaf eating is too far on the other side too. It's all about balance, brothers and sisters. It's all about balance, and when he achieves balance in time, then we'll have a different paradigm. But in the meantime, you will not change the way that the government operates and so on by standing outside of the Downing Street thing. That's not going to happen overnight. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it, but do it rather from a place where you are balanced. And then you've achieved, at least you've achieved what you can do for yourself, because if all you do is you spend your time, either browbeating or lettuce leaf eating, then you won't get that balance. No. So I say super day. It's 12 November. Don't forget, if you're in London, it'd be awesome to see you on the 29th of November at the Vanbrugh in Greenwich. So take care.